Welcome to this short tutorial about the openENTRANCE nomenclature and how we are planning to use it in the ECEMF Horizon 2020 project. In the European Climate and Energy Modeling Forum, ECEMF, we are going to develop pathways for European decarbonization strategies and for reaching the goals of the Paris Agreement. When doing this kind of model comparison and scenario development between different modeling teams, you need to define the nomenclature, so the list of region names and variable names that we are going to use to exchange information between different modeling frameworks. Rather than develop something from scratch for the ECEMF project, we decided to use the work of the openENTRANCE project, another Horizon 2020 project that is already ongoing for 2 years. In the openENTRANCE project, we have decided to develop this nomenclature on GitHub, because GitHub allows several nice features for open source and collaborative work. So in this tutorial, for the next couple of minutes, let me take you through the openENTRANCE nomenclature and show how we're going to use this for the ECEMF project. On the landing page of the openENTRANCE nomenclature, you're going to see the usual GitHub parts and components, the list of files, a very detailed README that is explaining the aim and scope of this repository, how to work with it, and it will also explain something about the data format and structure that we are going to use in the openENTRANCE and also in the ECEMF project. This is based on the work of the Integrated Assessment Modeling Consortium, the IAMC. Any data to be used in this project should follow the structure of a model column, scenario, region, variable, unit. Then there is a potential for a sub-annual time resolution, and then years as columns where the data, the actual values of your time series data is stored. So if you want to prepare your model results for upload to the ECEMF Scenario Explorer hosted by IIASA, which we're going to use for scenario ensemble compilation, validation, and then comparison, you will need to put your model results in a format that looks like this. So I have prepared a simple Excel table with a test model, test name of a scenario, a region, a variable which describes which kind of values are then shown in the time series part of this worksheet. And of course, every data has to have a unit. So where do I get to these numbers or to these values, region, variable, etc.? If I go back to my openENTRANCE repository, I can look at more information about the regions, and it will take me to a list of region names that we have defined in the openENTRANCE project, which includes all the various countries, NUTS 1, NUTS 2, and NUTS 3 resolutions, as well as some other sub-country, but also aggregate regions definitions. So what you should do when you want to prepare your data for upload to the ECEMF Scenario Explorer hosted by IIASA is that you look what are the regional aggregation, the regional resolution that you have in your model, and identify the correct values from the openENTRANCE nomenclature, then prepare an Excel table like the one that I've just shown you. What you then do is you upload that to the IIASA ECEMF Scenario Explorer, and our scenario services infrastructure will run a couple of validation steps to make sure that your data that you uploaded actually conforms to the nomenclature as well as to some other specifications, so that it is readable by the database and can then be used by other modeling teams as part of the model comparison exercise. Previously, before we switched to the new IIASA Scenario Explorer infrastructure, you had to upload your scenario data to our infrastructure. You waited until our server ran its processing machinery. Then you received an email with the information, what might not have passed the validation steps. Over the last few years, we implemented a couple of features that makes this a lot easier for users. And as part of the openENTRANCE project, we implemented an installable Python package called nomenclature. If you go to the nomenclature folder, you will see all the installation instructions on how you can install this on your machine. This is not mandatory, You can just prepare your data, upload it to the IIASA Scenario Explorer, and wait for the report. But it might be more efficient to run this on your machine. And I will show you now how you can do this. This is the Excel file that I have just shown you. And now I go to a Jupyter notebook where I import the nomenclature package, and then I just run nomenclature.validate and the path to the file. And now I receive several warnings. For example, the following regions are not defined in the nomenclature, EU. So this is strange because in the European Climate and Energy Modeling Forum, we probably want to report data on the European level. So now let me go back to the GitHub repository, to the definitions, and let's look at why is EU not a defined region. So I'm now in the region folder. I look at the aggregate regions. And here I see, okay, there are several definitions, Europe excluding Turkey. There is also a pan-Europe, which means basically everything but the islands as it was used in the EHIWIS 2050 and Plan for Rest projects. And there is also an EU, European Union and EU 27 definitions. Okay, so the mistake that we made when preparing the Excel data file was calling it EU rather than EU 27. So let me fix that. I save it. I go again to my Jupyter notebook. I run that, and now I do not have an error message anymore that there is an unknown region, because now EU 27 is a valid region in the definitions of the nomenclature. But I still have a warning, which is shown twice here for computer stuff reasons. It says the following variables are not defined in the nomenclature: primary energy, fossil fuels. So again, let me take you back to the GitHub repository. I go back to my definitions, to the variable. And now let's see, where would we find how primary energy fossil fuels is correctly called? Well, it's probably in the energy folder. There's an energyprimary.yaml file. And if I scroll down, I see, okay, here. Oh, there's a variable called primary energy fossil. So rather than calling it fossil fuels, as I did naively when setting up my Excel table, I should call it primary energy fossil. So let me fix that. Save it. Go to my Jupyter notebook. Now there is another warning, namely that the unit for variable primary energy fossil is not exajoule per year, which is correct. Here I defined it as gigawatt hours per year. But if I go to my definitions on GitHub in the nomenclature, here it says, well, actually the unit should be given in exajoule per year. Okay, so I go again to my Excel table, I fix it to exajoule per year. Of course, if that were real data, I would also have to change the values accordingly, but this is just dummy data, so it doesn't matter. I save it. Now I again run my validation script. And now it will return true, meaning the file that I passed here, that I inserted here, successfully passed the validation. Now I can go to the IIASA ECEMF Scenario Explorer. I can upload it there. And if my file passed the validation, then it is basically guaranteed that it will also pass the validation when uploading it to the IIASA Scenario Explorer infrastructure. So this should make it a lot easier for you to prepare your files in a way that they are consistent with the nomenclature in the openENTRANCE and then also in the ECEMF project. If you have ideas about additional variables or additional regions that should be defined in the openENTRANCE nomenclature, then please use the collaborative features on GitHub, like making an issue. You see here a couple of the things that we are currently discussing in the openENTRANCE project, or you can just make a pull request. If you do that, then there will be a discussion, and if there's agreement that the change makes sense and is consistent with the openENTRANCE and the ECEMF projects, then this will be merged. The pull request will be merged, and as soon as it is merged, the IIASA database infrastructure will be updated to reflect these extended changes. with that, I say thank you very much for your attention and good luck trying to upload your first scenario results to the IIASA Scenario Explorer for the ECEMF project. And please reach out should you have any problems. Thank you very much.